You're listening to Greater Good Radio Hawaii. Please visit us online at greatergoodradio.com. Today's guest is Jeff Chung, President and General Manager of KBFD TV. Jeff is also the Vice President of the Asia Network, the first Korean cable network carried by the cable systems in the continental U.S. So you mentioned that you went from high school straight to working with your father, although you've been, kind of working during high school. What about college? Did you go to college to get educated, to get better at sales maybe, or in the broadcast industry?
Well, right after graduating from Roosevelt High School here, I went to Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. Did my 4 years there, but actually in my junior year, I spent a year abroad in Korea because I couldn't speak Korean at the time. And so I spent a year there, and I'm pretty fluent now. And every summer or winter breaks, I would come home and I would work at the TV station, help the family. And as soon as I graduated in 1990, I came home and I've been working full-time 6 days a week, sometimes 7, until today.
So how much travel is involved with this?
Initially, not much. It was just internally we had to build a really good infrastructure, find good personnel, and expand our subtitling base and try to get some Nielsen ratings and get more involved in the local community.
Can you chat a little bit about how subtitling kind of opened up the market for you guys?
Right. Initially, the reason behind our subtitling efforts in Korean dramas is because my father realized that I was actually losing my Korean culture. Like I said, I didn't speak Korean until my junior year in college when I went to study abroad in Korea. So the purpose to subtitle in 1989 was to build that generation gap between 1.5, second, third, fourth generation Koreans in Hawaii, because my father really didn't like to see the future generations losing their Korean heritage. So that was the reason behind that. But in the early 90s and mid-90s, we started to get a very strong following with the local community because on the cable dial, we're on Channel 4 in between all the networks, and people would just kind of surf by and stop and start watching, and they'd eventually get hooked. We didn't do much promotion outside our station, but because of the strong Asian values and the ethnic makeup in Hawaii, I think it was well accepted.
And then is that what happened for the continental U.S. as well?
The continental U.S., Hawaii is very fortunate to have a station like KBFD, which is licensed and owned and locally operated here. But a station, there aren't many Korean stations on the mainland, primarily because the TV station is just extremely expensive. A station like ours, if we were in the Los Angeles market, our station value would be somewhere in the $180 to $200 million. And if we're in New York, probably in excess of $220 to $230 million. So I know a lot of wealthy Koreans in the United States, but not that wealthy.
Wow. Do you see that maybe at a certain period in the future that it will be that prolific in the continental U.S.?
Well, there could be. I see it growing now, but Hawaii is definitely about 3 to 5 years ahead of the continental U.S. as far as Korean programming and the penetration into the local community. Like I said, again, on the mainland, it's primarily Korean broadcasters are leasing time from stations, existing TV stations, as we were doing prior to KBFD, and broadcasting Korean programming about, at most, 3 hours a night. And in some other cases, there are cable channels, and they are subscription-based on a monthly basis. So it's not accessible to really everyone.
So once you got your station, did you folks worry a little bit about how you were going to fill your airtime?
Programming is definitely one of our advantages because the Korean government, who owns KBS, the Korean broadcast system, is similar to NHK, BBC, and they have 2 channels in Korea and a lot of content. And they were initially providing that content at a very, very low price because the purpose or the rationale behind in the Korean government is to promote the Korean culture. And so KBFD was just a vehicle, and there was a good relationship, and we've been representing KBS for over 30 years now.
So what about some of the hard times that you guys went through? Can you tell us some of the hard times maybe you went through and how you came out of it, what you learned from it?
Well, when we started in 1986, like I said, getting a new advertiser on air and watching it at home was a big relief for us, and always a challenge to get another new client and also retaining the existing clients. But it's just extremely hard to get advertisers if you don't have Nielsen ratings. And if people and media buyers are always stereotyping you as ethnic. And today, even though we have Nielsen ratings today, I'm still labeled ethnic in many cases, but if you think about the ethnic makeup in our viewers, we have less than 10% of our viewers are Korean, and I'm still labeled ethnic. So there are challenges out there. I guess a lot of the media buyers need to be a little bit more savvy, I think.
And how do you deal with those challenges? When you go into a meeting, you know that you're going to have this, I guess, label on you.
Mm-hmm.
How would you overcome that so you're able to get that advertiser to deal with you?
Well, a lot of times we wouldn't get much from the advertising agencies. There are a few that gave us a lot of business, but in general, it was very difficult. So quite often we went directly to the client, talked to the president, CEO, and basically gave them our pitch. And if they believed in us, they took a chance. But in most cases, in the beginning, if it was, let's say, initial 3-month period, we would really heavily discount the package so that they could get some results. And if it worked, then we continue that relationship. In most cases, it did.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.